Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to this first of our afternoon sessions. Mostly familiar faces. Is there anybody who's never been to one of these before? No. Okay, excellent. So I can shorten the introduction a little bit. I do want to say, I know not everybody came last week, so just to share a little bit about what we're doing, or really what I'm doing, because this is a bit of a personal journey, is I've taught a lot of different types of meditation, but I've never really been a specialist in love and compassion meditations. It's something I came to relatively late in my meditation career. And the more I've done it, the more powerful I've found it and the more helpful I found it, both in my meditation practice, but also in my life. And it's constantly surprising me what I'm learning through this practice. So I sort of had this space. So we finished the 12 weeks, which lasted about 18 weeks because of snow and various other things. And so there was this little bit of time before, until the end of July, because I knew I wasn't going to teach in August. And I was like, what am I going to do? 6 weeks. And I decided I wanted to do a personal journey of really focusing on this love and compassion meditation. So it's a subset, if you like, of the larger picture of meditation. And there's just this subset where various practices across several traditions just focus on the cultivation of love and compassion within us, these innate characteristics of our human nature. So this is somewhat self-serving. This is for me and for my discovery, but I'm inviting everybody to come along with me for the ride to see, between now and the end of July, it's 35 days, including today, to just see what happens if we just focus on this. And then at the end of July, if you don't like it, just, throw it out and then try something else. But just to see, like an experiment, see what happens. So this is the second week of that series, but it doesn't really matter if you weren't here last week. Each time, it'll be very similar each time, but just looking at a very, very slightly different angle on this love and compassion, and something else that usually we'll be looking at something else that has occurred to me as being surprising or interesting. But what I have to say about it is actually pretty irrelevant. The only really important thing is that we're just going to do the practice. But I would encourage you that I'm glad you're here, and we'll do it each week. We will do these practices. And it's nice to come back each week and do the practice in a group. But I would encourage you to see if you can carry this, just do this 35-day experiment every day, as much as possible during the day. And it doesn't mean you have to meditate, but it is going to be about watching yourself and watching what happens if you try and apply some of these principles of love and compassion in your life. What does that look like? What are the difficulties? What are the resistances? What shows up that you didn't expect? Anyway, let's start with meditation. And I always like to start with a classic awareness meditation. So we're just going to focus on the breathing. It allows us to settle. It also allows us to start to try and hone our concentration and focus, which is useful for the other meditations. So all we're going to do is we're going to sit, we're going to breathe, and we're going to place our attention gently on the breathing. We will get distracted. That is what happens. It doesn't mean we're doing it wrong. If the mind is really, really distracted, it just means the mind is really, really distracted. And we just keep doing the practice anyway. And in meditation, you never know at what point the mind will settle. And so it might be very, very busy at the beginning, and then it starts to settle. Equally, what can also happen is it can feel quite settled at the beginning, and you think, oh, I feel quite relaxed. And then all of a sudden, from deeper down, various other things start popping into your mind. It's just what happens. We don't know what's going to happen. Our mind is, it goes wherever it goes. And in this, we place our attention on each breath. We're placing our attention in the present moment. And then we notice when we get distracted. We notice when the mind has gone somewhere else. And when we notice that, that's huge. It's a really important moment. And we notice it. I got distracted. Let it go. And just start again. As if you were starting for the first time, you just start again with the next breath. And you settle. Without judging yourself, without being... We can resent the fact that we got distracted or something, and try and see if that happens. Notice that that's happening, and then see if you can let it go and just innocently start again with the next breath. And then when you get distracted, start again with the next breath. We'll do that for about 10 minutes. Are there any questions? Okay. So if I can invite you all to sit up straight, feet flat on the floor. The purpose of sitting up straight is really just so that we have some alertness, so that we can hold our attention. But it is good to be comfortable. You don't want to be uncomfortable, so you have to move or anything, that's fine. I'd encourage you to close your eyes, but if you're feeling sleepy or you'd rather keep them open, I just invite you to lower your gaze and soften the gaze. Just take a nice deep breath in. And let it out. And take another deep breath in. And as you let it out, just try and release any tension you're holding in your body. And take another deep breath in. And as you breathe out, see if you can release any of your emotional or mental stress. Whatever's going on in your life right now, just see if we can just take a break from it for 90 minutes. Just put it on the shelf. You can have it back at the end of the class, but just see if you can give yourself this gift of letting everything go for 90 minutes. And now allow your breathing to return to normal. Just see if you can rest your attention just noticing the air as it comes in and as it goes out. Just allowing yourself to be aware of the sensation of the breath. And if it helps, you can notice your body moving with each breath. Notice how your body knows automatically to take the next breath. How much air to take in, and then how to relax and let it go. So just gently placing our attention on the breathing. And when you get distracted, or when you notice you've got distracted, be very gentle with yourself. Just notice that it happened. Maybe notice what the thought is, and then let it go. And just start again with the next breath. We are about a third of the way through. Just encourage you when you notice you've got distracted to be very gentle with yourself. It's not a failing, it's just inevitable. We're noticing when it happens and then letting it go and returning our focus and resting our attention back. Starting again with the next breath. There are about 3 minutes left. Just encourage you to keep persevering, no matter how many times or for how long you've been distracted. When you notice it, just start again. I invite you to take a deep breath in and let it out. And just start to expand the area of your awareness to include your body, to notice the pressure of the floor underneath your feet. Notice your knees. Notice the weight of your body sitting in the seat. Aware of what your hands are touching. Aware of your breathing. Aware of the heaviness of your shoulders. Just noticing how you feel. What are some of the emotions running through your body? Maybe you feel calm, relaxed. Maybe there's some anxiety or frustration. Maybe you feel some happiness. Or maybe there's some sadness. Just noticing what's true without trying to change it, judge it, avoid it. Just seeing if you can notice how you feel. Then take a deep breath in and let it out. And when you're ready, open your eyes and reconnect into the room. So, love and compassion. Well, as I said, I was late to the party on this one. I sort of thought, compassion, that's nice. Glad people do that. Probably makes the world a better place. But I didn't really think it was for me, and there was quite a lot of resistance. And this week I just wanted to invite you to look at what maybe some of your beliefs are around this. And on the surface, we might sort of say, oh, love, yeah, that's great. I like that. I'm a loving person. Yeah. But there may be some other stuff there as well. And love's this sort of complicated word. I mean, the Greeks had 5 words for it. And you ask different people what they mean, and there are all these different things that it can mean. It can mean that self-sacrificing love of a mother to a child. But it can also mean, I love ice cream. I don't think it's the same. And there's, I love you, so long as you take out the garbage more regularly. Otherwise, I'm going to stop loving you. So there's that sort of conditional love. So there are all these different types, and it means a lot of different things. And I need to try and be a bit careful about not sort of saying, oh, this is love, this is the definition. But nevertheless, I want to share with you what some of my resistance was and just see if any of this rings true for you. And then I also invite you to explore what is your feeling about the subject. And I think for me, one of the things about it was that I just took it for granted. It was like, yeah, I'm a nice person. I love people. I have compassion when they deserve it. And I saw it as a default. There's a baseline. Like, we all have a certain capacity for love. And whatever it is, that's what it is. Just took it for granted. if I need it, I'll be able to produce it. And one of the premises behind this practice is that it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed. And like any skill, if you don't practice it, you lose it. So what we're looking at is, how do we develop it? How do we uncover it? How do we put it into practice? And some of this is we put it into practice, like specifically, there are these meditation exercises. But part of it is also about using it during the day. Just noticing when we are coming from that place of love and compassion, and when we're coming from somewhere else, because we have another side to us. We have this capacity, but we also have the opposite. And of course, over our lives, what defines us is which one do we do more? And I think one of the things that did slightly surprise me was how obvious it seems to me. It seems obvious to me that I would like to be better at love and compassion. That would be good. I would like to be. I'm sure I'd be more popular. I'm sure my girlfriend would like me more if I was more loving and compassionate. But I wasn't actually doing anything about it. It was kind of like these empty wishes. Like, oh no. And then I discovered, okay, there are these practices. You can genuinely get better at this. You can develop this skill. So I think the second resistance for me was best summed up by this scene in Monty Python's Life of Brian. And I don't know if you've seen Monty Python's Life of Brian, but there's a great scene of the Sermon on the Mount. And so you have Jesus up on this hill, and he's preaching the Sermon on the Mount. And then the camera pans back and pans back and pans back. And Brian is standing there with his mother right at the back, and they can hardly hear anything because there's no, there's no microphones, there's no loudspeakers or anything, and they're quite a long way, so they can't really hear anything. And sort of people are passing it back, like some of what he says, to the back of the room. And somebody sort of says, oh, blessed is the Greek. He's going to inherit everything, apparently. And somebody's like, oh, do you have his name? And then this woman turns around and says, no, it's the meek. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad they're getting something. They never get anything. And I sort of had this sense, like love and compassion. Oh, that's nice. That's for the meek, the mild, the weak. Love and compassion. If you're too loving and compassionate, it'll allow people to take advantage of you. Now, I'm not saying that was my prevalent belief, but it was there. It was like, ooh, you don't want too much of that, because otherwise people take advantage. That was like, that's this sort of underpinning belief around love and compassion. Not the only thing, but it was there. And again, seems obvious. Actually, throughout history, every tradition, all these great teachers have said, the most powerful force in the universe is love. Most people will say love is the most powerful force. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. And when we think of great people who are very loving and are very compassionate, in some ways it can be intimidating because we think, yeah, I don't have that capacity that they have. Actually, they have this incredible strength, and I don't know if I have that. And so we sort of turn back from it. So on the one hand, I'm thinking, oh, it's meek and mild and a bit weak. And on the other hand, recognizing, no, this is a huge strength, and I'm not sure if I have it. So for me, what helped was like going, actually, this is not a weakness. This is about power and strength and the ability to be able to love and show compassion in the face of suffering and difficulty. And even in the face of maybe situations that are unpleasant and difficult and require tremendous discernment as to what is the loving thing to do. So those two of the resistances. The third one is, so last night I was having dinner in New York City, and this guy came up to me and he sort of said, so what do you do? And I said, oh, I teach meditation. And he said, I said, I'd love to do that. He said, I think it's really good. I really like it. But, he said, I wish I'd started when I was younger. Because if I had been taught this when I was a kid, and I had this habit, and I did it every day since I was a kid, I'd be really good at it now. And I wish that had happened. And I said to him, I understand. If you had started as a kid, you would be better at it now. That's true. And then I sort of said, do you mind if we go a little deeper? And he goes, no, it's fine. I said, notice what you are telling yourself. The underlying story you are telling yourself is, it's too late. You should have started earlier, and now it's too late. And I said, and part of you, the really, really smart part of you, is listening to that, going, yeah, there's no point in doing it. It's too late. You should have started earlier. So you're not going to do it. While you keep telling yourself it's too late, you won't do it. Now, my narrative about compassion and love was not that it's too late, but I did have this little story that I was telling myself. And part of my story, and I think this is pretty common for most of us, is I had this sense that I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not fit enough, thin enough, funny enough. I don't work hard enough. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not spiritual enough. Whatever it is, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not enough. And the reason I'm not happy is because I'm not enough. I created my unhappiness. The reason I didn't get as much love as a kid, the reason I'm insecure, the reason for everything that's gone wrong is because of something inherently flawed in me. And if I could fix that, then I'd be happy. If I was perfect, then my mother would have loved me more, or my father would have loved me more, or whatever, or I would have been more popular in school, or whatever. If I was perfect, then I'd be happy. And until I'm perfect, I am not worthy of love and compassion. I don't deserve it. And I'm just going to make myself perfect, God damn it. And so therefore, my narrative is, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not worthy of love and compassion. Tough love. The best way of being worthy of this stuff is you're just going to beat yourself up every time you make a mistake. Now, the truth is, there is such a thing as tough love, but tough love does not show up with a stick all the time, constantly berating you every time you make a mistake, for every flaw, for every failing. Tough love looks at it honestly and says, yes, that's a flaw, it's a failing, but it supports you. It encourages you. And there is this sense that if I love myself too much or I have too much compassion for myself, I'm not going to drive myself to success. I'm not going to fix the flaws. I have to keep being tough on myself. That's the way I'm going to be successful. Now, the truth is, all the research in psychology says that's nuts. Sure, coaches want to drive you to be your best, but the way a coach drives you to be your best is by a combination of encouragement and then pointing out what needs to be improved. But there's a lot of encouragement. And that if you constantly criticize somebody, they just become discouraged. And then they don't even want to try, because if they try, they will fail. So I had this very, very profound belief that I had to be tough on myself in order to be better. And if I'm better, then I'll be worthy of love. Yeah, turns out wrong. It's not the way it works. Actually, self-love, self-compassion, encouragement, forgiveness for the fact that I am human, that changes everything. And it's not a position of weakness. It's actually a position of strength from which you can then actually get better, if you wish to. But you're also perfectly happy with the fact that you're human. And in this compassion training, a huge amount of it centers around learning how to apply it to ourselves first. And then whatever happens after that happens. But the transformation The personal transformation is so powerful when you can start to let go of some of the narrative we have about whether we're worthy. Now, for me, this was hugely challenging. And I was like, Justin, you're wrong. The best way, you just got to be tough on yourself. So if you have some resistance to this, I completely understand. All I want to do is to invite you to think about it, to be open to the idea of seeing what happens if you're a little nicer to yourself, seeing what happens if you forgive yourself a little bit for being less than perfect. What shows up if that happens? And just trying it out. Just being open to the possibility. So this is a guided meditation. I'm going to take you through the steps. And it's really to try and get ourselves to notice some of our own resistance, but also to try and get that feeling of allowing love and compassion to flow through us and to see what that looks like. So again, invite you all to sit up straight, feet flat on the floor, hands wherever they're comfortable. Invite you to close your eyes, unless that's uncomfortable for you, in which case you can leave them open, but just soften your gaze. And take a nice deep breath in. And let it out. And once again, breathe in. And just try and release any tension you're holding in your body. Just settling. Allowing yourself to settle into your body. Settle into your breathing. And now I invite you to think of yourself and see yourself in maybe one of your favorite spots, place where you feel most comfortable, which might be in your living room, it might be in a clearing, in a forest, might be at the beach. And just to see yourself with the person that you care the most about and who cares the most about you. And see them with you. And allow yourself to notice the look of support, kindness, and generosity in their eyes. Allow yourself to feel their encouragement, their belief in you, their love for you. And now you're going to invite some more people to join you. And just add a couple of your best friends. People that you feel very comfortable around. People that you know support you. Whatever the complexity of your relationship, just relaxing into the fact that underneath it all, you know they support you. And allow their kindness and love towards you to flow over you. Allow it in, even if there's resistance to feeling it. And now I invite you to bring some more people to the group, going back in time, remembering best friends from when you were a child. People that liked hanging out with you. Maybe best friends from high school. Maybe you're still in touch, or maybe you lost touch, or maybe they died. But seeing them with you in this place. Acknowledging the support that all these people have for you. Maybe friends from early adulthood. And maybe recalling some adults who believed in you and supported you when you were younger. Maybe there was a member of your family that really supported you. Maybe a friend of your family, a friend of your parents, who was very kind. Maybe there was one or two teachers who saw you, recognized you, encouraged you. Maybe there were some mentors later in your life. Work colleagues, or a really good boss who was supportive and kind. Bring them along to the group and recognize how much love and affection there is from these people towards you. And allow it to touch you in your heart. Allow yourself to feel this belief that other people have had in you, even when you haven't necessarily had it for yourself. And now I invite you to add to the group anybody who perhaps you don't know but has been a big support for you, whether it was an author, a speaker, a spiritual teacher, alive or dead. If they've touched you in some way, allow them to join the group. And see how appreciative of the fact that you allowed them to help you. That's why they did what they did. And see if you can allow yourself to feel this energy of kindness to flow over you. Almost like a shower of light. And see it penetrating you, filling you up. Allow yourself to feel your gratitude and the love you feel in return. And if you'd like to see them caring for you, maybe putting an arm around you, giving you a blanket, or preparing food for you. Picture their support for you. Allow that energy to flow through you. Just notice that this belief in you, this love for you, is always present. You've become aware of it in this moment, but it's always there. Now see yourself thanking everybody for coming. Seeing their smiles, smiling back at them. And take a deep breath in. And let it out. When you're ready, in your own time, open your eyes and connect back into the room. So there are a number of specialist teachers in this area. One of my favorites is this woman, Sharon Salzberg, who has a wonderful book. Well, she's got a lot of great books. But her original subject was just called Loving Kindness. And she admits it's a slightly weird word. It doesn't really mean anything. We don't use that word in everyday parlance. And it's an attempt to translate a Pali word called metta. And a lot of scholars just sort of say, just call it love. It's like, love's too complicated. It means too many different things. But she admits loving kindness, which was the title of the book, it's hard to define. And what she's started to now refer to it as is, and she sort of said friendliness is perhaps closer to the meaning of the word, except that friendliness implies like hanging out with somebody. And she said it's not really about hanging out with somebody, it's about that feeling of friendliness towards others. So the word she uses now is connection. And I'm still trying to work out really what I think about this. But slowly I'm sort of coming around to the idea that I really like this idea that this love and compassion is really about connection. It's about connection to and connection and unity, wholeness, both between ourselves and others, but it's also connection within ourselves. It's connecting the broken parts of ourselves back together again. So there is a sense in which we are afraid of connection because we are afraid it'll be rejected. Like if we see somebody and we're just that little bit nervous, like should we smile, should we not smile, I don't know this person, and we're afraid that if we open up for the connection and they reject it, it'll hurt. If we see somebody that is suffering or struggling, there is that sort of urge towards them to see if we can help, but there's also that nervousness of like, this might hurt. I don't know if I want to get involved. And so what she's talking about is this sense in which instead of separation from our world and from ourselves, we're starting to reconnect, but we start with ourselves. So we have these parts to ourselves. Some parts of ourselves we like, we're proud of. Some parts of ourselves we don't like. We are ashamed. We wish they would get better. We would fix these less desirable parts of ourselves. Her sense is, yeah, that's not this approach. This approach is to recognize that we are human, that we have failings, we have flaws, and we are actually going to connect to those flaws. And we're going to accept those flaws. We're going to be loving and compassionate and kind towards the parts of ourselves that we don't like. And that's hard. But that's why we do the exercise, because it is hard. But that's her sense is what we're doing here is creating that connection. Now, part of me was like, so what? It was like, connection. Sounds right. It's fine. And it's only in its opposite that it made sense to me. It's the separation that causes pain. It's when we create that separation from ourselves to others, and it's the separation of ourselves to ourselves that causes pain. And we don't want that separation. We don't want separation from ourselves and others. We don't want the separation within ourselves. So what's the opposite of the separation? Yeah, connection. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. Now, that's me. I don't know if that helps or means anything. But I'll just throw that out there, that there's this, at least in Salzberg's world, this idea of connection is really what we're talking about in this love and compassion. I just invite you to think about that. To notice this week, as you meet people, do you have a feeling of separation from this person or a sense of connection towards this person? And what happens if you allow the connection? Now, for her, she had this sort of sense that she'd had this whole sense her whole life that connection, that was something that they brought to the table. Like you needed them to meet you halfway to have the connection. And for her, what she's learned in this practice has nothing to do with them. Nothing. It's entirely self-generated. You either have that sense of connection or not, and it doesn't matter whether they do. But your sense of connection to them makes you whole. And then whatever they do is up to them. But the chances are, if they're human, and they're not weighed down by too much of their own baggage, they want that connection too. You're just making it easy for them, if they choose to take it. And it's not about the result, it's not about them wanting it or anything else. It's really about you healing yourself, becoming whole. And that's what the practice is. Okay, so let's do the last exercise. But once again, stand up, and stretch.
So did you say it's the connection to the parts of ourselves that cause us pain that helps us connect to others? Is that what you said?
I don't know, but you can see it on the video. You'll find out what I said.
I couldn't write that fast. I have to process it later.
When you're ready, take a seat. So this last exercise is, it's the classic practice of what's known as loving kindness. Maybe it's connection. It's a 5-step process. Last week, I sort of was emphasizing the loving part of this. This week, I'm going to invite you to explore the compassion side of this. And it's a very subtle difference, but there's a little bit of a difference within this world. And again, these definitions, they're slightly semantic, so it doesn't necessarily have to mean these things. But one way of looking at the love part is that love is a recognition that all of us want to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy, and that love is wishing that upon everybody and having that wish for well-being in others. Compassion recognizes perhaps slightly the other side of life, which is that everybody in life struggles. Everybody experiences suffering. Some more, some less, but everybody experiences some. And the compassion side recognizes that and wishes, and it doesn't feel it in an empathy way, and it doesn't just sort of pity it in a sort of, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. It is that we allow ourselves to want to help, even if we can't. And by allowing ourselves to open our heart towards wishing them and wanting to ease their suffering, that turns out it does something completely different in the brain, it does something different in the bloodstream. It's that desire to ease suffering that is a little different from empathy. Empathy is almost masochistic. You're just feeling their pain. But you're not allowing yourself to want to do something about it. It's, again, small semantic differences. But it's the urge, even if you're not able to ease the suffering, but it's the urge to do so that is the key. And it turns out that's where the freedom lies as well. There's a term of compassion fatigue. It turns out there's no such thing as compassion fatigue. There is empathy fatigue. If you simply feel the suffering of people relentlessly, you will burn out. If you allow yourself to feel compassion for it, you don't get burned out. So anyway, subtle difference, but this exercise is going to just emphasize the compassion piece. So we're going to say these 4 phrases over and over. It's like, may I be free from danger. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. May I live with ease. Well, we're going to say that for ourselves, and we're going to say it for others. And again, there are 5 steps to the process, and I'll guide you through it, so you don't have to remember them. The point of the exercise, or the guidelines for the exercise, is we try, just as we try and hold our attention on breathing, we're going to try and place our full attention on each of the phrases as we say them silently to ourselves. So we're going to try and direct our attention fully onto the phrase. As you say it, to be fully present to the phrase. And of course, we can get distracted. Other thoughts come into our mind. We start thinking about the exercise, about is it working and how does it work, and this is unrealistic, and all these other things. And we may start thinking about that stuff, or we might just be thinking about, you know, what we had for dinner last night or something. We get distracted. But when you notice you've got distracted, again, just bring your attention back to the next phrase and try and be fully present to the next phrase that you say in your mind. So take a deep breath in and let it out. I'm just going to play some music in the background while we go through this exercise. So what I want you to do is to picture somebody that you love unconditionally. And see yourself with them. And recognize that we don't always show our love as much as we might. But in this exercise, I invite you to open your heart towards this person to its fullest degree. And see yourself saying to them, may you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. Sometimes we hold back with our love. We feel as though it's a limited resource. We only have so much to give. But it's not true. We have an unlimited amount. You can give it all away, and you still have it all left to give. So see if you can increase what you're sending this person, allowing them to feel it. May you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. So now I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit difficult and see if you can turn that love and compassion onto yourself. Noticing perhaps you have resistance, but nobody's watching. Just for the sake of this exercise, see if you can try and allow yourself to feel that same level of kindness and generosity. And say to yourself, may I be free from danger. May I be free of mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. May I live with ease. May I be free from danger. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. May I live with ease. Maybe you find yourself thinking about this, trying to work out the logistics, or you have resistance. And that's normal. Just keep trying to say the phrases, being fully present. And even if you don't fully feel these phrases, in one way we are sowing seeds. And we may not see the fruit right now, but we're sowing seeds. May I be free from danger. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. May I live with ease. Okay, so for the third part of the exercise, I'd like you to bring to mind somebody that's in your life that you don't know very well. You know them, but you don't know them well enough to know whether you like them or you don't like them. Somebody neutral, which might be a neighbor, might be a work colleague, could be somebody you see at the post office or the laundromat in a restaurant. Somebody that's in your life, but you don't know well. But we know that they struggle, just like you do. We know they have hopes and dreams and fears, just like you do. We know they experience pain and loss, just like you do. And see if we can, for this exercise, send them that same amount of love and compassion, kindness and generosity. And this is an exercise for us. It's not really for them, but it's an exercise in practicing our capacity for love and compassion. So picturing this person, and see yourself saying to them, may you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. Just saying those phrases over and over. Trying to keep your attention as fully present on the phrase as you can. May you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. Again, noticing we hold back with our love. And just see if you're giving this person everything you have. Allowing yourself to practice full capacity of your generosity. Okay, so for the fourth part of the exercise, we're going to raise the difficulty level a little bit more. And I invite you to bring to mind somebody you find a little bit difficult. Not somebody not an arch enemy, but somebody who's annoying or irritating. Might be a work colleague, a neighbor. Most of us have somebody in our immediate family or near family that fulfills the category. And this isn't to accept their behavior. It isn't about forgiveness. It is about recognizing that they're human and flawed, just like you are. And that just like you, they are also worthy of love, kindness, and generosity, in spite of their flaws, just as you are. And again, this is really for you. It's supposed to be a little bit difficult to allow ourselves the challenge of practicing our capacity for love, kindness, and generosity. So picturing this person, just see yourself saying, as much as you can, these phrases. And even if you find it hard, just try and stay present with the phrases. May you be free from danger. May you be free of mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. And if you feel a resistance, that's good. And then see if you can just do it anyway. This is not for their benefit. This is the stretch for you. May you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. May you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. Okay, so for the last part of the exercise, I invite you to consider all living beings, recognizing the connectedness of everything. Everything we do, masses of connections from all over the world to bring us our clothes, our food, our education, our entertainment, literature, music, art. Recognizing the interconnectedness of everything. And trying to expand our heart to wish well to all beings. Recognizing there will always be pain and suffering. But exercising our right and our capacity for us to wish it otherwise. So for all beings, wishing that may they be free from danger. May they be free from mental suffering. May they be free from physical suffering. May they live with ease. We're trying to expand the capacity of our heart beyond what we might think is possible. May they be free from danger. May they be free from mental suffering. May they be free from physical suffering. May they live with ease. When you're ready, take a deep breath in and let it out. And in your own time and in no hurry, allow yourself to slowly connect back to your body, back to noticing the chair that you're sitting in, back to the noise of the air conditioner in the room and the music. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and connect back into the room. So, thank you very much for joining me on this adventure. So we've got 5 weeks. What I'd say is, my experience is this is hard. We have default patterns of behavior. We have default belief systems and habits of thinking, habits in our approaches. And this isn't, we can't do this exercise and suddenly, I'm a good person, I'm loving, and my heart is expanding and I'm changing my behavior. I don't think it works that way. But I do think it works a little bit, and a little bit, if we want to. And the beauty of meditation generally is that it helps us be more aware of our own thinking, of our own feelings. And so during the day, becoming more aware of where are we coming from. And I've been doing this a week now. I mean, I've been doing it for years, but I've been doing it specifically on this adventure for a week. And I noticed it's hard because there's the default pattern, there's the default approach, which is sometimes one of cynicism, fear, skepticism. I have my judgments. And they jump in because I think I'm very clever. So I'm sure I'm right. I'm sure this approach I've had all my life must be right. Even though I'm telling myself, no, it's clearly wrong. But that's the default. That's what I'm familiar with. That's what I'm comfortable with, is this skeptical approach. Cynical approach, slightly fearful approach, like afraid of what happens if I have this attitude of generosity and kindness. I came up from New York City this morning and some guy stopped me on the street and said, "Do you have a buck?" And I'm kind of in this thing of like everybody can have their own judgments about this, but I'm following this thing of just giving everybody a buck who asks for a buck. Cost me a buck. And I know there's a whole philosophical thing about whether it helps them and encourages begging and blah, blah, blah. But this is my thing. I'm just trying it out. See how it works. And the guy's like, "Oh, you got 10. So I was like, then I was like, I gave him a smile. I said, "There's a buck." And he gave him a smile. He says, "Okay, thanks." So it's a work in progress. All I encourage you to do is, if you want to join me on this, just try it out. Don't expect too much at first, maybe, but keep trying it out. It's kind of fun. And I get it wrong all the time. But I'm having fun with it. And sometimes I get it right. Generally, what the science says is that the more we practice this, the happier we are. It also has amazing impacts on health, like crazy benefits on health. Not surprisingly, makes people a lot more popular too. So, now, the whole point of doing this is not that we expect something in return, but I just throw that out there as a little bit of a carrot. So, just see if you can notice during the day. And I'm going to encourage you to try and do that last exercise every day if you can. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, just do each one of those sections for a minute. But just see if you can do that every day. It makes a bit of a difference. It's just a little bit of a reset. It reminds you that you have an option of somewhere else to come from. And then maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, maybe you don't like it. But let's try it for 5 more weeks and see what happens. Thank you very much, everybody. May you be free from danger. May you be free from mental suffering. May you be free from physical suffering. May you live with ease. Till next week.